Today is Saturday, May 26th, 2018. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for the finale of Survivor Ghost Island.
That's right. It's time to put a bow on our 27th season of podcasting about Survivor, our 1,120th episode, I think, thereabouts.
Okay.
Yep, for season 36. We're here to wrap up the finale, to check in with the super fans, see what they thought about the finale, the reunion show, the season as a whole. We've got pros, we've got cons, and we've got a little bit of looking forward to season 37 too. How many folks did we have?
28.
28. All right, that's fantastic. I love going out with a big show like this and to help tide us over until the next season begins. Anything you'd like to say before we get started?
No.
Okay, let's kick it off with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Oh, man, what an epic finale and a fantastic finish to a pretty good season of Survivor. Let's let out a great big woo! Yeah, and congratulations to Wendell for pulling out one of the most miraculous finishes ever, because history was made, guys. Wow. I never would have thought it would come in 36 seasons to a tie vote at the bitter end. You knew it sort of when Probst said, I'm going to read the votes right now, and everyone was shocked, because remember, the last time Jeff read the votes at out on the island was Borneo when Hatch won. Since then, it was always at the reunion. So you had a feeling it was tied. And sure enough, we heard about the new rule back in Game Changes with if Culpepper and Sarah were tied. And sure enough, look what happened. Laurel, who you knew was going to be the runner-up, had no votes, cast the deciding vote for Wendell, which I kind of had the feeling she would, because her and Wendell had a very good friendship, and Wendell played that idol for her at Final Five. You knew that had a lot to do with it, too. Hats off to Dom. If it was anyone but Wendell, or maybe any other season, Dom wins easily, hands down, and I think he admitted it, too. He got overconfident. I think he should have stuck to his guns, and maybe given the immunity to maybe, Laurel, put Angela there, or something, and then have a showdown between him and Wendell. That's what it would have been all about. And then he might have won that, and he would have won easily. In fact, I think he would have won unanimous if he was in the final three with Laurel and with Angela. No question. But that's Survivor, guys. You could play good for 38 days, but it doesn't matter if you don't bring it on day 39. And I thought that was one of the best final tribals ever. Dom and Wendell going back and forth. Laurel tried to, but you could see she had poor jury management. And the jury didn't seem that bitter. Chris was a good sport about it for the most part. I absolutely loved Michael. Kellen thought she was a little bit bitter. Sebastian looked like he was smashed on the jury, if you know what I mean. I don't know what to think of Sebastian, but what a great season, guys. Congrats to Wendell on the win. Great that finally history was made, and it had nothing to do with Ghost Island and all that. Ghost Island was a dud. The season as a whole, I thought, was very good. Now we got the next gimmick, which is David versus Goliath, but I like that it's all newbies. And by the way, guys, John Morrison is a WWE wrestler. Looking forward to see what he brings for the fall. That about wraps it up here. What a great season. Looking forward to the fall, and curious to hear what everyone else thought of the finale. Take care. Woo!
All right, thanks, Pete. I did see something, it was like an interview question, I think, with Sebastian, and he said that yes, he indeed might have had too many adult beverages prior to attending final tribal council. So basically he's saying, yeah, he came in drunk. So there's the explanation for that one, I guess.
See.
Yeah, no surprise.
Well, sometimes those guys with the great big muscles, like the wrestler, they don't always do well.
Yeah, so you're saying
when they get out
Pete
there
shouldn't
without the protein,
get his hopes up
because he's got a lot
of mass to maintain. Yeah, we've certainly seen that happen multiple times. I guess the gimmick for the season is based off of two people. Probst said in an interview they were looking at the wrestler, and then they were looking at, was it Nick or was it Christian? I forget, one of the guys on the David tribe, and the whole idea hit them, and they based the theme off of it, and just contrasting those two people against each other. That's how they came up with it. So we're definitely going to hear more perspectives on that as we go through.
All right.
Thanks, Pete. Next up, got a call from KimJ.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey, this is KimJ from Nashville. I really enjoyed this season of I Do Not Want to Win Survivor. I think that this was the most smartest players that they've ever cast on the show. So much so that I decided to make some rules on how you cannot win Survivor. So rule number 1, after the merge, identify the 2 most powerful players in a position to win the game. Then have an 11-person powwow at a water well so that you could discuss ideas to make sure that they end up as the final 2. Rule number 2, if anyone tries to shift power in the game, do anything that you can to block this action, including running to the person who is the target to tell them the plan. Also to include waffling, general uncertainty, and changing your mind at the last minute. And rule number 3, if you know there's going to be a fire making challenge at Final 4, do not practice making fire. That way you can't win the fire making challenge, therefore ensuring that you do not win Survivor. So I really hope that we have another batch of smart contestants like this for Samson versus Delilah in the fall. And I hope that we also go 30 minutes over into the reunion show so that someone can pick an urn, so that we don't talk to the castaways, because I'm not at all interested on why people voted for who that they did or made the moves that they did throughout the game. Thanks, everyone. Have a beautiful summer. Okay, so it's been a couple of days, and the bitterness and sarcasm has evaporated away. I did enjoy this season. I mean, it's not in my top half. I'd probably put in the bottom half, somewhere around Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, and Co Wrong. I did enjoy aspects of the finale. I mean, Dominic's fake out was great, and the challenges were fun. Although I'm not really sure with the fire making challenge, the top 4 immunity challenge really brings as much value as it did before. I don't know. What do you guys think? I loved the tie vote. That was epic. I'm so glad CBS didn't spoil it in the previews leading up for the finale this week. I heard Sebastian say after the finale that he knows he's coming back. Oh gosh, please no. And it just made me think, I feel like a lot of these players are playing to come back, to make an impact enough to be asked back. Are they really even playing to win? This batch certainly didn't. I hope that the ones in the fall for David and Goliath do. And I've got some advice for everyone that goes on to play Survivor.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.
That's Herm Edwards, and I couldn't have said it better myself. All right, everybody have a great summer. Joanne and Stacey, thanks for all you do. Enjoy your break.
Yeah, thanks, KimJ. I think that's an excellent point. What do you think about her question about does the fire making lessen the impact of the Final 4 immunity challenge? Having to make fire to secure your spot?
Yeah, I think it does in some ways, for sure. But overall, it makes it more exciting. And I like that whoever gets to the final 3 has to really work for it.
Yeah, so I think I agree with you, but I would just say it differently. I don't think it lessens it. I think it enhances it. And I love the connection to fire represents life. And if you haven't mastered that basic skill, and we see plenty of people show up who haven't, even though you should know better, like Kim was saying, it really brings that truth home. And I like that they honor that part of it for the same reason that the whole Redemption Island seemed to rob it, where you weren't done when the fire was out. You just went to Purgatory Island and then got got a chance to win your way back in. So I don't think on the whole that it lessens it. I like it, but we're going to hear from some other folks what their thoughts are in that regard. And it's a good question and very contentious. And I wanted to say I love the picture that Kim sent with her daughter.
Arvidi.
And the Navidi buff. That was so cute. Thank you for sharing that. And that's really cool that you named her after a survivor, too. Next up, we got an email from Ian in Woodland Hills, California. My first season of JSFL, and I win. Congratulations. Choosing Stephanie G as the first vote out was completely luck. I based that decision because she reminded me of Abby Maria. Believe it or not, I chose Wendell before hearing your JABBIC podcast. He came off to me as level-headed and intelligent. I also admire him for pursuing his passion for furniture building, which I share with him. As for the finale, both Dominic and Wendell were deserving winners, but Wendell's social game ultimately won him the title. His immunity idol gift, while unnecessary, was a perfect example of Wendell's character. It was Wendell's relationship with Laurel that kept her and Donathan from betraying him and Dom. I will also say Laurel was the most deserving of third place. Despite, I like how you said that. It's interesting. Despite the failure that was Ghost Island, the cast was actually great. Thank you both and to the entire Survivor family for a great season. All right, congratulations again on your win there, your co-win, Ian. Next up, we got a call from Sophie.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey. Hi, Survivor fans. This is Sophie in Texas. Camping was freezing last week, and there was a fire ban, so it was the longest night of my life. Now, Survivor, the season just didn't make it in my top 10, even in my top 20, and maybe not even in my top 30. I was happy Wendell won because I got a point, but his arguments at the end were just so lame, so poor. He had no drive in him. Dominic really did have the fighting spirit to win. I was just absolutely infuriated that it was a tie. I don't care if it's something new that's never happened before. Everybody should have got the chance to have a revote and to vote again just to see if there would be a different outcome. Why should Laurel get the predictable end vote? Everybody knew she'd vote for Wendell, and it just really, they were trying to make it fun, but no way. It made me so mad. I was so upset the next day. It ruined my Thursday. I woke up really depressed, really mad, and then seeing Angela and Laurel having tips even from Wendell about how to play the game. They had no drive. I could really see what everybody was going on about. I thought that you were being too harsh on Laurel, but how embarrassing. She just laid there to die, like no fight. At least Wendell won. That's good, but they didn't even show his famous girlfriend, right? The one who he was fighting for so hard. And I didn't see in the recap Dominic's wife. Maybe I missed something, I forwarded it. But the recap was just awful as well. I don't know. Sorry I'm being so negative. I think the season started off fun, but so many good people got out. And after the merge, it just was a disappointment. I'm hoping next season is better. This is not going to be one that I remember. It's not one that I rewatch. I'm not even looking forward to David and Goliath, but maybe I'll be looking forward to it by the time it starts. Have a lovely summer, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it a bit more than I did. My family were into it. I think they liked the challenges, but even the maze, yeah, it was huge, but it wasn't that great, the final challenges. And I think it's definitely they need a new location. I am sick of seeing the same places and beaches. I want to see extreme weather and wind and storms and rain. And have a good summer, guys. Take care. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Sophie. Yep, I know some people feel that way for sure, but they did endure a hurricane in Fiji not too long ago. So
Thanks, Sophie. Up next, we have a voice clip from Taz.
Hi, Joanne and Stacey. This is Taz in Louisiana. I know a lot of people thought this season was lackluster, but I really enjoyed it. For me, it was not predictable. I only got one vote out point the entire season. I had several 3-point weeks, so it wasn't predictable at all, and I liked the characters, and I really enjoyed it. Now, Rice Island was a bust. Plain and simple, it was a bust. It just took time away from getting to know the players and possibly seeing some of the moves that came out of nowhere being planned. Oh well, I just hope we never see that again. I did get my 24-point USB bonus, though. However, I only picked Wendell because he was my 24-point USB. Up until the finale episode, he did not have the resume to win. The money was Dominic's to go and put in the bank. But in the finale episode, Wendell cemented 3 of his 5 votes that he got with taking Angela and Sebastian on the stake reward, then giving his unneeded immunity necklace to Laurel. Those 3 moves, plus his 2 immunity wins, are what won him the money. As for the reunion show, yeah, that was a bust. It usually is. I would just assume they had read Laurel's vote at the final tribal council and did away with the reunion show, because it's really not a reunion for the players. We got to hear from Sia. Thank God we didn't get to see her. I guess she was backstage having a bad hair day. Then Jeff brings back Eric and James to rub it in their face one more time, and then try and give James credit for finding 2 immunity idols. After all, he found 2 immunity idols. I seem to recall that he was handed an immunity idol by Todd, who had actually found it, and then Todd told him where the other idol would be at the other camp. So, finding 2 idols? I think not. Then, I don't know, maybe my recording glitched or something, but the little girl who had wrote down her vote as who she was thinking won the game, I don't recall them ever showing who she voted for. Anyway, it was a good season. I'm looking forward to next year. Big thank you to Steve for maintaining the website. Thanks to Paul for the roster. And big thanks to you, Joanna Stacy, for all you do. You make watching each season far more enjoyable than CBS does. Thank you. Taz in Louisiana, over and out.
Oh, thanks, Taz. Great having you be a part of the listener feedback show. So we're glad you got here on the last one, too. And they did show that she had chosen Wendell.
Yes.
So 2 for 2 for little girls in the audience picking who the winner is. Thanks again, Taz. Next up, we got an email from Christiana from Boston.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. There were some twists and turns in this finale, and I really wanted to like it because I really like a lot of these players as individuals. But overall, it just fell flat for me. I feel like the majority of the jury was not playing a smart game and then held that against people, i.e. Dom, who were actually playing strategically and not there to make friends. I have so many unrelated thoughts to specific things that happened in the whopping 2.5-hour finale, but I'll stick to higher level thoughts and observations with one exception. I have to mention that I actually laughed out loud when Wendell saved Laurel at Final 5 with Eric's idol and said she reminded him of his sister, whose name, ironically, is Lauren. Maybe that was the issue all along. There you go. Mm-hmm. Overall, Ghost Island was a non-factor this season, regardless of what Probe says. Barely any of the cursed idols or advantages actually affected the game, and some were used at times that made no difference to the vote whatsoever, and there were far too many of them. When you need to use the term idol management at Tribal Council, you know there are too many idols floating around. I was thinking that the decision about which urn Dom should take was going to actually play into the game, like each urn had one of the 3 other players' name in it, and that the player was safe, which I acknowledge would have taken out the strategy of his selection, but at least would have shook things up. But it really was just a prop in the end. Jumping to Final Tribal Council now, the one downside of the new open conversation format is that not everyone necessarily speaks, or at least we don't see it. Michael, Kellen, and to some extent Chris were basically running that conversation, and I would have liked to hear a greater variety of voices.
Yeah, we always say that every time.
I thought Dom did a good job of managing the jury, especially with his comment to Chris. I also thought it reminded me of Todd and Jean Robert in China, where they both knew when to stroke a little bit of a jury member's ego to benefit themselves. Unfortunately for Dom, jury management only goes so far when the jury does not respect the game itself. Sorry, Sebastian, that you are a lover who didn't use strategy. Shocking, I know, but that's not the game. You confided in the wrong people and got played by someone smarter than you. Plain and simple. Even from the jury, Michael impressed me. From knowing that Dom's idol was fake to explicitly respecting Dom's game to acknowledging that furniture was not a valid strategy, he seemed to be one of the only jury members to be rewarding best gameplay. And I really hope we see him again in a returners season with other people who are on his level. Speaking of returners, I was really hoping for a returner season for 37, since there has been a pattern of 2 to 3 new player seasons between every returner/partial returner season, dating back to Caramoan. Still, holding out hope for all winners season for 38. I was also hoping that they departed from the themed seasons in Fiji, which are going a little stale in my opinion, moving to a new location, returning back to where the content of the season was more about where they were playing and not who was playing. Finally, I personally was disappointed with the half reunion. I also noticed Stephanie J was missing, which was a bummer since I had her pegged as the original winner from the premiere. Even though we have social media to keep us informed of people's lives after the show, I would have liked to hear about the origin of the various couplings that came out of this season. Ghost Island might have had a better track record than The Bachelor at producing relationships at this point. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy, for hosting this community for Survivor fans to connect and share ideas. I will surely be back next season. All the best. All right. Thanks, Christiana.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have a voice clip from Parker.
Parker sent a note along with his audio. Said he originally had it at 23 minutes, and he was hoping I was happy that he had been able to cut it down to 9.
Parker.
Well, Parker, we're all about kind of that 3-minute range here, so we've trimmed it a little.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and oh my goodness, that was one heck of a finale. Dominic takes out Seabass, and okay, I don't care what the jury says, that was one heck of a move by Dominic. I loved that. If I was on that jury, I'd be like, y'all are crazy. I'm voting for Dominic because that was freaking awesome. Okay? Like, jeez. That wasn't bullying. That wasn't an attack. It comes down to the last challenge. Super stressful. Again, with bouncing stuff. And it keeps falling over. And you're like, oh my gosh. And you're like, why is Angela still here? And she almost wins. And then she doesn't. And you're like, yes. And then Dominic wins. Dominic gets to pick the voting urn, which is so cool. I would have picked Australia because I love Colby Donaldson. So give Fireman Challenge. Wendell's at purple, and Wendell wins. I had the final 3, Laurel, Wendell, and Dominic. Dominic winning. So I was happy at least those 3 made it to the final 3, because everything else I had completely wrong. Which I changed at the last second. Because I was so sure. I knew that I had this feeling, like, we will get the tie. Which I probably wouldn't have thought of until Fishback and Sesternino were talking about it on Know It All. So thanks for getting me thinking about that, because that would have never registered in my head, like, oh crap, it may be a tie. It's going to be final 3, Wendell, Laurel, and Dominic. And if it is that final 3, and if it is a tie, then Laurel is going to vote for Wendell to win, which is what happened. But somehow, in my head, I was thinking, no, it's not going to be a tie. We're not going to get that. And so I switched it. Last second, I switched it to Dominic winning and Wendell getting the second place, because I was so sure there wasn't going to be a tie and Dominic was going to win. But, of course, no. Oh, my goodness. Also, freaking Eric and James? What? Oh my gosh. Who thought we'd see those two again? Like, I mean, sure, they're not playing, but that's just so awesome to see them again. Wendell, I'm happy seeing him win. I would have been happy seeing either Wendell or Dom win. I think their games are very evenly matched, but, you know, at the end of the day, Wendell wins, and it's not a case where Dominic lost and got no votes because the jury was bitter. And Wendell, I think, played better game. I think it's awesome, you know. I love it. It just makes me happy that it wasn't a situation where it was a clean sweep by Wendell, because I do feel like since they were so close, it wouldn't have felt right. Congratulations, Wendell Holland, on being Survivor's 36th winner, counting Sandra twice. I think it's a great season. I really do. I think top 15, top 16, I don't know where it goes in my rankings of Survivor seasons, but all around, I think it was a solid finale. And yeah, looking forward to next season, and I will see you guys next time.
Excellent.
All right. Thanks, Parker.
I'm loving the balance, the differences, the different perspectives and that we're getting as we go through that, and quite a bit more to come.
Well, I think Parker was way more excited to see James and Eric than
we
they
were.
were. Well, no, not that. Than they were to be there.
Oh, yeah.
I just
Especially
kept
given the
thinking
outcome.
they both looked uncomfortable to me. And,
Yes, without a doubt.
So, I don't know. I just thought...
Even upon reviewing it, we didn't come to a different conclusion.
Yeah, it was like, they just looked so uncomfortable.
But there you go. It worked really well for Parker.
That's good.
Thanks, Parker. Next up, we've got Ann and John.
Oh, Survivor fan. This is John and Mommy. Wendell won, and she thought she was going to win, and he did. And
that was fun.
Bye.
Thanks, John.
Bye, John.
Okay, thanks. Hi, guys. I'm really excited Wendell won. That was the first time I've ever had one of my original picks win. And it's a whole lot better than the last two seasons where the person I picked went out first. So, yay. I was sad that Jeff Probst did not apologize to James and Eric. And he kept, that's probably the whole reason they even agreed to go to the show, is that he promised them an apology and then he didn't deliver at all. So I feel really bad, especially for Eric. I was really excited that the reunion was cut short because I always dislike the reunion, just the way that Jeff manages it. And if he's not going to talk to the people anyways, I would just rather have less of it. So I was excited that the show, regular show, went longer. Overall, season is kind of a subpar season, I think. After seeing the way that the jury talked to the finalists, to me, it reminded me so much of South Pacific. I mean, One World. It reminded me so much of One World. The Kate Spradlin just...
Kim,
she was just far...
so dominant.
And above everyone else there. And so it was a pretty boring season to watch. And I think they tried to edit some mystery into there to make it look like there was and some competition and some chance that something might happen. But really, all along, those three finalists were just far and above better than everyone else there. So it was going to be super obvious, especially if they showed us the social game that they were playing, where they had relationships with everybody. Wendell walked on the beach every day. He made things for people. I mean, we didn't really get to see a lot of that at all. And it would have been nice to see some camp life. But on the other hand, maybe it would have been more boring. I don't know. So I'm glad that Wendell won. I feel bad for Dominic. I do think his wife is going to give him a hard time. But it's just nice for finally once pick the right winner. Okay, guys. I can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Ann. Thanks, John.
She'll probably be better when he hands her the 100,000.
Yeah, that'll soothe it a little bit, right? So that we don't focus on the 900,000 difference. Ann and so many others have talked about the social game, and we've been talking about the edit hiding things from us pretty much from the drop early on. There was some, I think actually from the very first episode we were at least commenting on it. It wasn't bugging us from the beginning. But one of the things that we got from watching the extra videos, the Jury Speaks videos, is people talking about the vast difference between Wendell and Dominic's social game. which they had really never hinted at, and like Ann was just saying, and other people have said, and we're going to hear more about it, is that Dominic was always connecting with people, and Wendell was very solitary, is what we hear in the Jury Speaks videos. He got a lot of credit for being the mastermind, and people would always say, well, let me go talk to Wendell. When they were having strategy conversations, they wouldn't commit without having talked to Wendell. But Wendell evidently spent a lot of alone time, and he didn't make big personal social investments in people.
They said he was very laid back, but very nice and very...
Just chill, but he didn't have a lot of time for you with a one-on-one conversation. So that was an interesting contrast to hear.
Direct and to the point.
Very succinct.
And we found out that Kellen really kind of wanted to vote for Laurel. And, for her to get a few votes from people. But
She was open to it, but everybody was like, Laurel's got to open a big old box
show us something.
A big old box of surprise. Otherwise,
and they all
just
said
they
thought she played a good game in a lot of ways.
To get to the end, not to win. I don't think anyone was thinking that they weren't aware of anything that she had done that was win-worthy. They were open to hearing it.
That's right.
So there's a difference between, and you do have to be at the end to win, certainly, but this is, Okay, thanks again, Ann. Next up, we got an email from Mike in Omaha, Nebraska. My thoughts on Ghost Island have remained the same throughout, Mike says. Last year, I thought Ghost Island sounded hokey, and it was every bit as bad as I thought it could be. The potential could have been great had they adjusted how it worked, but we don't live in a world of ifs and buts. I think in the long scheme of things, it would rank somewhere in the mid to low 20s. Hardly great, but not awful. It's above reproach. Did the finale redeem the season in a word? No. Was it better than the majority of the season? Absolutely. I agree with Probst that the cast was good. What they did, how the game turned out, not so much. I was speaking out against Dominic and his character type early. However, seemingly he did play the best game. I cannot begrudge him that. He knows he did. Wendell was sort of a throwback to the quieter winners, so while his performance in the finals was almost reprehensible, he made the right choices at the right time. I would say that the only real feather in this season's cap was that for the first time ever it ended in a tie. That was exciting to see, no doubt, but given the monotonous pacing up until then, the excitement amongst me and the people I was watching with, it was like we were blinking our eyes and stumbling out of hibernation. What? Something exciting's going on? I enjoyed this mutually beneficial to a fault storyline that Dominic and Wendell had going. They helped one another, but they both had hidden idols and couldn't get rid of one another before the end. It would have been stupid for Dom to give his necklace over to Angela and build fire, but now we know that if he had and proceeded to make fire quicker than Wendell, he'd have won handily. I don't mind the finale spilling over into the reunion show because the last 3 or so reunions have been pretty awful. That has everything to do with Jeff Probst. Now I know for a fact that he is the one to blame for why they are stationed seemingly forever in Fiji. I had my suspicions, now I have confirmation. Probst, well, I was taught not to say anything at all if you don't have anything nice to say. Wait, whoever Jeff Probst or CBS has for their casting is fantastic. Probst owes those people so much, he needs to become their personal slave. I wish we could lobby to have Probst removed from office and someone like Rob Cesternino replace him, but who gets everything they want? Not I. I do believe my biggest beef with this season was the baffling editing. Never has it been so difficult to even find the thread of the story of what's actually happening. I might give Wendell more credit as a winner, but the edit didn't really do him any favors. I can't champion what I am unaware of. My thoughts on Survivor David versus Goliath are, it could be excellent. I say this because season 35's gimmick was a total groaner and it turned out great. It seems these bungled and arbitrary themes are commonplace, so I don't see why it couldn't be a good season. Hope springs eternal, right? Plus, for whatever reason, I tend to like the fall seasons more than the spring seasons. No rhyme or reason, just something I've observed. I'm happy to put season 36 in the rear view. Great listening to all my fellow fans this season, Stacy and Joanne. You two are incredible. I appreciate y'all more and more. Thanks for such excellent Survivor coverage. And thank you, Mike. We've loved having you be a part of the voice of the listener feedback show this season. Next up, got a call from JayWaffles.
Hello, Joanna, Stacy, and all the Survivor fans at home. This is JayWaffles from Canada with some in-the-car thoughts of the Survivor finale. I just want to say thank you again for the podcast and the listener feedback. Really, really appreciate all the different viewpoints and everything that you guys do. It certainly makes a mediocre season seem so much better. So, again, thank you so much for that. I won't take too long. I just want to say that I'm happy that Wendell won. I think he is definitely a well-deserving sole survivor. I think he did it with charm, and I think he did it without being too backstabby or too villainous, I guess, for the lack of a better term. I would have been fine if Dom won, but it was nice to see Wendell. I like him. I think he's an interesting fellow, and I'm glad to see that he won. Now, in terms of the actual finale, I thought it was kind of boring, I guess is the right word. I don't know. I suppose the Sebastian vote off with was kind of interesting. It could have been better if it actually played out the way that, it probably could have. The Donathan vote out was just kind of boring. And then the whole thing about going to Ghost Island with the group and having to make this decision and which urn to pick, I mean, that was just completely nonsensical and extremely boring. I mean, it was trying to make something out of nothing, and I get really annoyed with that because I think it just wastes time. I like the reunion show. I like that hour-long time when they can actually sit down and speak with the Survivor contestants and see what they're doing now. I think that they do that. They do a disservice to the group because I think some of these people have compelling stories, and we kind of get to know some of them. And what is with Kellen and Michael getting so much airtime? I don't understand. Kellen is getting a winner's edit after the stupid show is done. I don't even get it. Why do we care? Why do we care what Kellen thinks? Is Kellen Jeff Probst's niece or something? Like, did she... I don't understand. Well, I'm not sure what that fascination is. I'm sure she's lovely. I don't know, but I just don't understand. And they didn't talk to half of them or even 2/3 of them about anything. So some sort of closure would be good. Maybe they think that there's so much social media out there and they're doing exit interviews and maybe they don't think that that's necessarily required at this point, but I kind of like it. It's certainly, I will tell you, it is certainly better than drumming up 2 other Survivor contestants that looked completely awkward and weird to be there, and this half-hearted apology about telling them that they're like the worst Survivor players in history. I don't know what that's about. And then the silly cross-promotion with Kevin Hart's TNT thing, that was so dumb. At any rate, it was an okay season. It was a deserving winner. The new season looks interesting. It's hard to say. I don't like when they do sort of shticky things. This is like brains versus brawn or whatever, and just no beauty, I guess. We'll see. I'm happy that it's not a returning players. I think it's good that it's new players, so that's a good thing. Are they in Fiji again? Thanks for everything that you do. I really appreciate it. Until next season, I want to say thanks again to everyone. Have a fantastic summer. We'll see you in the fall, and we'll talk to you again. All right, thanks. Bye.
Yeah, they're staying in Fiji for the indefinite future right now, according to Probst. And I liked your description of how they've spent the whole season trying to make something out of nothing. That's a good summary of it. And you think that the time they gave Michael and Kellen was a lot for the final tribal council. When we're watching the Jury Speaks videos, they gave Michael like 13 and a half minutes, and the next closest one was like 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's just, you could tell someone is definitely in love with Michael there in production. Probably more than one person.
Yeah, you're going to see him again.
Yep. Thanks again, JayWaffles. Next up, we got a call from Marla-n-Sarah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, Survivor friends. This is Marla.
And this is Sarah.
With just a last-minute message at the end of the season. We are so behind in Survivor because Sarah had Wednesday night gymnastics, Saturday morning gymnastics, Friday night ballet. So we have to catch up this summer. We hope you all have a perfect summer. Our perfect summer is going to involve a lot of relaxing.
With roller coasters.
And reading a book.
While we're water skiing.
And sitting at the beach.
Going skydiving.
I think our summer might involve a lot of compromises. So we hope you all have a great summer. Joanne and Stacy, thank you for all you do. We will leave you messages over the summer.
Oh,
and we wanted to just say, have a great summer.
Have a great summer.
Bye.
Bye.
I am so glad to hear that because I was missing you the other day.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking, where are my little messages? And
I think Marla's raised an adventure junkie. Good deal. Well, thank you so much for adding your voice to the last listener feedback show. We appreciate that. Next up, we got an email from Julie in Iowa.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hello, Survivor friends. I started out the season really excited. I had talked about Survivor to my sister Rose enough that she started watching it each week, and we talked about what happened during each episode. Then on April 3rd, she had a medical emergency, and she spent 17 days in ICU after having an aneurysm blood bleed in her brain. She is home and recovering nicely, and we are so thankful. Thank goodness. She got right back to watching Survivor, and we text back and forth during the show. We both really enjoyed the finale last night, and even though I wanted Wendell to win, I wasn't so happy with how it happened. After the tie and Laurel made the decision voting, and we saw that Wendell had won, Rose texted me to see what I thought about that. I told her I was glad that he won and that I just didn't like how it happened. Her text back to me told me just how well she's doing. Laurel had way too much power. Maybe they should have let the little girl in the audience have the final vote. That made me laugh. Her first Survivor season, and she already doesn't like that they waste precious time in the audience. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do to get these podcasts out there. And also thanks to all the Survivor fans who contributed to the listener feedback shows. I appreciate all of you. All right, and thank you, Julie. And we're glad that she's doing better now.
Yeah, very much. Next up, we got a call from Drew and his Saturday morning zoo crew.
Hey everyone, this is Drew. Hey Charlie, guess who won?
Who?
He did.
He did?
Yep, your pick won, bud. I think Charlie's been picking Wendell for the last few weeks, and he won.
She won!
Good job, bud. Oh, sorry, babe. She did not win, but she was 4th place. So my kids picked 1st and 4th place. So they did a lot better than I did when it came to picking the winner.
I did a lot better than Adelaide. Those ones are out.
Yeah, those ones are out. Okay, hey everyone, this is Drew, and
I used to pick Kim.
Oh, you used to pick Jacob. Well, he's long gone. Anyway, I got Charlie, Adelaide, Milo here.
I used to. And I got my animals.
Yep, all kinds of creatures today. So I will say that I thought it was a good finale. I didn't think it was a great finale. I was this close. I was that close to getting my USB. I was that close. And that would have been 2 in a row, and that would have been amazing. 2 in a row, can you imagine? But, I thought I had my final order going pretty well. Even after I had 5 and 6 switched, I thought, well, I'm going to get the final 4 in order. I think that's the right order. I think it's right. And it was looking so good. It was looking so good. But then Laurel, I'm just going to blame it all on her because she gave away my 2nd and 1st place points. But there were a lot of cool challenges. I thought the maze was cool, but a bit much. Guys, I just think Donathan is really weird. He's a guy that just is so awkward. He doesn't belong on TV. I don't know. I didn't mind that they stole some time from the reunion show. I think the reunion show has been lacking in recent years anyway, but it did make for a really late finale because I didn't get to start until really late, and then I was just up until the middle of the night thinking, how is this still going? I feel like it was 2 hours solid, not even counting the commercials, but yeah, I think this is not in my top favorite seasons, but I do like a few of the players. I feel like I'll remember Dominic. I feel like they want me to remember Michael and Chris, and I'm sure I'll look back and maybe look at pictures and be like, oh yeah, but guys, Sebastian too, what is it's like he has stink face mixed with high, mixed with sleepy, mixed with drunk. It's just something so off about some of this cast. I don't know what to do about it. Nothing, I guess. The show's over. But I think David versus Goliath is kind of dubious. It could bring out some pretty harsh personalities, but I guess that's the point. I just can't believe Wendell won, you guys. I just can't believe it. I thought Dominic had it in the bag. I thought that Wendell was going to get maybe 3 or 4 votes, but I thought Dominic had it for sure. But I guess this show still surprised you. I thought, oh, that little girl, I could tell what she was writing. I could tell what she was writing on the paper, and I said, oh, she's going to get it wrong this time. But I guess not. As far as keeping track of my own score on the side challenge, I would not have lost, but I would have come in a close second. So good luck, looking forward to it. Winner of the season, Dominic, because he played the best game by far. Loser of the season, Laurel, because she took the win away from him. That's right. Donathan and or Sebastian get a close second. Okay, everyone have a great summer and a happy Memorial Day weekend, and see you in the fall for David versus Goliath. Can you believe it's already halfway through the year? I can't. It's crazy. Okay, what do you guys have to say? Apparently my children speak in grunts and whistles these days. Little duck sounds, I don't know. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Charlie, Adelaide, Milo, and the rest of the zoo crew there on Saturday mornings. We enjoyed having you with us. Next up, we got a call from Kim and Cameron.
Hi, everybody. This is Kim and Cameron from North Carolina.
I think I'll start out just by talking about what I was thinking about Angela, because I picked her to be USB before the season even started. The past few weeks, I've been pondering the question, where does her loyalty really stand? But after watching last week's secret videos, it's clear to me she's only in it with herself, and trying to integrate her own military strategy into the game did not really work in her favor.
I have a lot of respect for Angela and the fact that she served, and I understand being in economic circumstances where that's a choice that you need to make, and I did it when I was much younger, but she, obviously did it for a long time, and her family also sacrificed. But I just had to say, WTF, what is Angela doing when she went to Dom? Laura was driving me crazy because she was whining. Of course, who knows? If I went on Survivor, I'd probably be all those qualities and then a little bit of Debbie thrown in too. So,
with the first tribal, I was very impressed with Dominic. I think what he did was so smart, and I know you guys mentioned, I'm glad Jeff didn't say anything, and I don't think he would have said anything anyway till after the vote. That was really smart. He was really a game player, so I don't like how they pretended he was acting in that situation.
I think Dom gave Wendell a little bit of edge by letting him prove himself with the fire, although since Laurel ended up deciding everything, I just think she went with her personal feelings maybe more than anything. That was a super tough vote, deciding between Wendell and Dom. Oh, I just got ahead of us. Anyway.
No, that's all right. Because you know what? Like Paulie said weeks ago, her final statement was exactly what we thought it would be. It wasn't the right time. I couldn't do it then. You're out of here, Laurel. Cool seeing Eric Reichenbach and James Clement come back. Was this Ghost Island? Was that the exile island they used in Survivor Fiji? It looked a lot like it. And also there were sea snakes everywhere, so that it might have even been the same one. Who knows?
I don't know. Getting towards the end, Laurel made it, and just because she's weak. So the final three is what we expected, even though it's not my JSFL. Oh, dang, I forgot to say something really clever that I thought of. It was this. Loose lips sink my JSFL. That's what I was going to say about Angela.
My last night did not go great at all. My USB, Angela, see you later. JSFL didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Wendell, I'm surprised he seemed to know Dominic would turn on him. Maybe there's just been stuff they're not showing us. There have been some greats in the past who always stick with their final two. Brian from Thailand, JT from Token Teens. They both had a very strong alliance with respectively Clay and Steven, and they weren't going to turn on them to bring them to the final two, so maybe that's why people voted against Dominic. Also, that Colby and Brad Culpepper throwback. Dominic, I don't think he's like Colby Wu or Brad Culpepper. I think he's more like Ozzy in this situation, where up against Wendell, he had an upper hand, but maybe he didn't win. Ozzy was up against Yule, but just one jury vote was what it took.
Yep. So final tribal, Michael showing leadership skills again. That kid is really amazing. I'm going to miss everybody. I might even go back and listen to old seasons, even though I'm not going to probably rewatch the show. But I love this feedback. I listened to a couple other podcasts, and y'all are by far the most awesome.
I agree. And next season, I think it'll be great. I'm already saying Christian's going to be my USB from that preview. But, I'll miss everyone too. It's been great calling in this season. I won't be with Kim next season because I'll be at college. Maybe every once in a while, but I'm glad to have been here. I love you all. Hope you all have some great feedback, and I'll see you guys next season.
Ditto. Bye.
All right. Man, we loved having both of you give your different perspectives there in the listener feedback show this season, and Kim had one little extra quick note to Cameron.
Cameron, it's been a blast doing listener feedback with you. I would have never done it on my own. Have a great time at college. You're going to be awesome.
Excellent. Wow, what an exciting time there. I hope you have a blast with that, Cameron. It made me flash back to when I headed out, too, and what that was like so many, many years ago. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, after weeks of placeholder episodes, the finale really pulled out all the stops. It didn't quite make up for the lull, but it was a welcome change nonetheless. Here are my other observations. I got a strong Mateo vibe when they showed Camo Angela with the hunting knife. Laurel couldn't reverse the curse of Aubrey's co-wrong game. We can thank this season for the new oxymoron official fake idol. The first challenge was massively amazing. I chuckled at Jeff's sarcastic crack about the crowd erupting for Donathan. Dom looked like the big bad wolf when he tried to blow Wendell's puzzle over. Laurel was Emily Latella, rants for action, followed by, ooh, never mind. Seabass wanted to have a big fish story. Dom gave him a real whopper. I thought Dom was going to ground Seabass after outing his blindside plan. In the Wendell Don bro battle, I expected one to dub the other Teddy Roosevelt. Wendell looked like an island Mr. T with all of that neck bling. Dom's flat top pyramid was obviously Mayan in a nod to Survivor Guatemala. Just kidding. Sia's off-screen 10K gift, which I saw that she actually upped to 14K, was a welcome case of now you see ya, now you don't. I didn't get that out, right? Let me try that again. A welcome case of now you see ya, now you don't. I wonder how Dancer Dawn would have done in the wobbly ball stacking challenge. Dom should have pitched fire making as even more fun than whitewashing a fence. Yeah, it did have that kind of tone to it, huh? Would Angela have had the power to choose the fire makers if Dom gave her immunity? Well, that's an interesting question. Angela blew her chance to psych out Wendell by sticking him at the orange table. That's a good point. Note to Angela, forts are designed to keep things out, including air from a fire. Dom knew he could be his own worst enemy, but he couldn't resist turning Final Tribal into the Dom show. It reminded me of watching teens fall to tropes in a slasher film. When Jeff started reading the final votes, I jumped out of my seat yelling, "It's a tie!" Eric's curse was reversed, giving Laurel the necklace to let Wendell win the game. Mark Burnett's keeping it in-house next season. Pro wrestler John is one of the stars of his Luca Underground show on El Rey TV. He's cocky, strong, and quite an acrobat. If Stefan Amell of Arrow was part of the Goliath cast, I'd get my Survivor wrestling and superhero fix all in one place and officially attain Nerdvana. If Survivor wants a TKO tie-in, how about replacing some of the carnival games with Wipeout obstacle courses? There you go. Yeah, maybe get what's his name?
Well, we saw
Kirkheimer
somebody
working on that.
Tackle somebody or something on the preview they showed for next season.
Mm-hmm.
Remember you commented on, whoa,
Yeah.
that guy looked like he just wiped the other guy out.
Yep, yeah, like the beginning to Heroes versus Villains,
Well,
those
I thought
kinds of things.
One of the mud wrestling things that got so rough that one season they had to go, yo, stop. People getting hurt here.
Yep. Okay, wrapping up with Josh. Anyway, that's it for me this season. Thanks, Joanna and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Have a great summer, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, it's David in Pittsburgh. And now that I know how to use this recording app, I can start sending you messages for every listener's feedback. And what? Oh, right. Okay, well, I'll send you one in September. But for now, as to last night's finale, I really enjoyed the split vote and how they resolved it. I thought Jeff Probst really played us well. Even though my vote would have been for Dominic, I thought either one deserved to win, so I was fine with that. As for Laurel, well, the jury pretty much decided what the majority of the viewers did. No moves, no votes. But just as an aside, for Angela and Laurel, listen, anyone who's going to play Survivor better know how to make a fire. Just like if you're going to be on The Amazing Race, you better know how to drive a car with a stick shift. So I have no sympathy for anyone who says, I better not make fire, so you're going to have to take me with you. I didn't say this the last time, but I wanted to say that this podcast has meant a lot to me, and I appreciate all the work and time that you've put into it. It's made Survivor even more addictive for me. I really can see how dedicated you are and appreciate all that you're doing. Now, I do have CBS All Access, and so that'll tide me over until September, but I'm not really sure what season to go with. I have rewatched season 1, but is there any season that you guys would recommend for a season with big moves, something with a lot more excitement than this past season? So if you have any recommendation, I appreciate it. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys in September. Over and out. Bye.
First, thank you for the compliment, David. We really appreciate that.
Yes, we
and we're
do.
thrilled that you got the whole voice feedback thing figured out. So we're looking forward to hearing you come September. What would you recommend that David go watch? What season?
Pearl Islands.
Pearl Islands. I immediately thought of Micronesia, the first fans versus
that
favorites.
too.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's good
That's still pretty much my number one.
Could watch, what's his name, drag Chet around.
I can't remember that guy's name either. The firefighter.
The firefighter.
Yeah, from Arizona.
Oh, I know his name. I do.
He was
Joel.
Joel, that's it. There you go. Good job, babe. You pulled that from the past. Yeah, I can remember seeing him when we were talking to him at the after party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What else? Anything else stand out? I really enjoyed Philippines. There was some, when we first got to meet Malcolm and Stephanie and all the, that was really good. So I think there's definitely some good moments there. You got several. China was really good.
China was very good.
Yeah, it's always been high on our list. I don't think we've been huge fans of the 20s, but there's definitely been some good ones in the 30s too. All right, thanks again, David. Next up, we got a call from Ronda.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, everyone. It's Ronda from Portland. I just wanted to leave my thoughts on the finale. I know you haven't heard from me in a while, and that is an indication of my feelings for the season. So I think I left feedback after the merge, and now I'm leaving thoughts on the finale. And those were, I thought, really the 2 good episodes of this season. I thought it was a mediocre season, but the finale was really fantastic. I thought the tie was amazing and just perfect for how the whole season went, that these 2 really wonderful players were just perfectly matched up, and that's how it went at the end. And I just have to say, and I think everyone will understand, that when Jeff came back and said, I'm going to read the votes, of course, I think most of us knew exactly what that meant. And I got really emotional. I almost started crying because it was like we were watching history, and I thought that was really great. I'm happy that Wendell won. I thought he was a slightly better player, so like maybe 1 vote better. So I thought that was really perfect. I would have been really happy with Dominic winning as well. And I don't care about the theme for the next season, like I never do. So whatever. And then I just want to say that I want to commend you, Joanne and Stacy, for giving it your all the whole season, even though you probably weren't feeling it the whole time. And I admit I honestly didn't listen sometimes because I stopped walking my dog as much. She hurt herself, and so we haven't been out walking. So I haven't been listening to podcasts as much, which is probably why I haven't been calling in. But I assume you've been giving it your all. The times that I have been listening, I've kind of gotten that impression. But you still do it, and so that's amazing. You don't have the opportunity. I guess you do have the opportunity, but you don't. Anyway, you still give it your all, and I appreciate that, and I think everyone else does too. So, hope everyone has a wonderful summer, and we will do this again in September. Thanks for everything, and we'll talk again in a few months. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Right.
Great to hear from you here at the end again. We appreciate that. And I think Rhonda's got exactly the right idea. Given everything I know about how Probst ends up selecting and pitching these themes, the less you place significance you place on them, the better off that you are, because they're just whimsical to start with.
I'm the same way. I don't
really
pay much attention.
hard.
It's Survivor.
Yeah, it's a case of trying too hard in a lot of cases, so if you don't let it detract, the better off you are. Next up, we got an email from Boston Mark.
Joanne and Stacy, thank you for another excellent season of podcasts. Well, thank you. I enjoy them all, but must admit that I missed the interviews. I hope CBS puts you back on the list. In fact, I think it contributed to the veiled editing of this season. Clearly, CBS had a very predictable season to edit, and they pulled out all the tricks in the book to give us surprise endings, and despite there being no real blindside since the merge. But there were some mysteries as we went along that a simple question from you both to the latest cast-off could have easily answered. This is especially true as to the social game and the alliances. How many times did we wonder about scenes that we missed and who switched things up? Next season, I hope you get the interviews back, but if you don't, I hope to find a good source for interviews where the person has watched the season. All I can find are interviews immediately after and not with people that have seen the editing like we had with you. Joanne had such a hard time with Laurel and Lauren this year. I started calling her with glasses Lauren and without glasses Laurel. I think Lauren was a better player than Laurel. I would.
I like that.
That works. I did. I still don't know why. And you pointed out on the last episode, I didn't do that in the finale. I called her Laurel the whole time.
Yeah, you did well.
And I was like, I don't know. I guess it finally clicked. I would have been happy with either Dominic or Wendell. They both played excellent games. They were pros among amateurs. Wendell's inner peace was impressive, and I'm happy he won. Finally, what about those other urns on Ghost Island? Clearly about 5 were never broken. That's true. Is this evidence that the rules were flexible, or did they not have to break them in order? Alas, if we could only ask the cast-offs. Thanks again for your efforts. I so appreciate all of you. All right. Thank you, Boston Mark.
Yep.
And actually, they did have to hit them in order.
That's what we saw early on because we all had that question. So we found a reference for that.
Yeah, they did show something that said they had to hit them in order.
I think it's just the fact that there are 5 left. There's just testament of how they got lost along the way with the whole thing to begin with.
Yeah,
it was an incomplete concept that did not that delivered an incomplete result. So
it just kind of says it wasn't all wrapped up tight or something beforehand. Something was, maybe they just wanted to be flexible or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was strange because they should know all of that ahead of time.
Thanks, Boston Mark. Next up, we got a call from Samantha.
This is Samantha, a.k.a. Survivor Rocks from Texas. I enjoyed this season as a whole. We did like Ghost Island, and we got behind Dominic from the start. Dominic and Michael impressed me the most. Now, I was really impressed how Michael was so young at being 18 and what he was able to do and accomplish in the game. My other favorite this season was Chris. I had a love-hate relationship with Kellen all season. The maze was massive. I appreciate Dominic's bluff at Tribal Council, but half of the bitter Bettys had salt rubbed into their wounds. I did not feel that Dominic's bluff was aggressive, was mean of anything. He put on a show, he was entertaining, he played the game. That's what you're supposed to do. And I expected more for some of these supposed Survivor superfans. Even Dominic's nemesis, Chris, voted for Dominic. So I feel that that's the only reason why Wendell won. Now, Wendell was nice, but I do not think that he played the best game. I appreciate Dominic's bluff at Tribal Council. It was insane that Dom would even entertain the thought of competing against Wendell in the fire-making challenge. But yet that is another reason why he is the best, in my opinion. Making moves, being bold, taking risk. Do I think he should have done it? No. But I appreciate that he was even thinking about it. I was hoping that Angela would pull off the challenge. Seabass says, I played with my heart and didn't even have any strategy. Well, there you go. That is why he's on the jury. I don't like a final 3. I like a final 2 better, and playing it safe doesn't get you the win, Laurel. I waited and I waited all season for her to make a move, and it never came. So I guess you got the place you deserved. 3rd, I wanted Dom to win, so I'm disappointed in the outcome and how it all went down. That was brutal, but at the same time, it was amazing and it was exciting to watch something to happen in Survivor history that will not be forgotten. It didn't matter how long the reunion show ran. Didn't even notice it. I didn't even miss Stephanie. Next time on Survivor, Davids versus Goliath.
All right. Thanks, Samantha. Next up, we got a call from Slappy McGee.
Happy McGee.
Hi, guys. This is Slappy McGee calling you from Las Vegas, Nevada, actually, this week. Just wanted to chime in about the finale, and pretty underwhelming for me. I think we all kind of knew it was going to be Dom and Wendell, and it turned out it tied, and that's pretty much kind of what we all thought, so it was interesting how it all worked out. I wanted to cut to a couple of points. One is, I'm not sure it mentioned that when Angela gave up her spot to Wendell, the whole orange and purple thing, I don't think that she really thought it through. Like, it doesn't matter that it didn't matter to her which one she wanted. It mattered to him, and I think she should have stuck to her guns and stayed with the purple because mentally it would have affected him. But again, I don't think she was that strong of a player, and I guess she deserved to lose and gave him a mental advantage because, again, it helped his mental stability or his, mental capability, or he had a superstition tied to it. But it didn't matter to her, so I thought that was a mistake she made, and obviously it may or may not have cost her, but still, I think that was a mistake. I think Laura got the number of votes that she deserved. It was really sad for me because I had really rooted for her earlier, but the less moves she made, and she made like 0 moves, I think she deserved about as many votes as important moves that she made. And then again, I think Donathan just kind of gave up, so it was kind of easy to see him go out because he had given up everything. So in a way, it was kind of underwhelming how it all kind of worked out. And then the tie, I really don't like the way they decided to tie with the person casting the vote. I just don't. I've always wondered, how it would work out. And anyway, I just wasn't a fan of it. But I also am not a big fan of the finale show. I liked it the very, very, very first season, I think, where they kind of did it there on the island. I like having the votes revealed there and have everything self-contained. Never liked the patting on the backs of finale. And this show was even worse. I thought it was less of it at the end, which was nice, but there was more Kevin Hart, which, I like Kevin Hart, but I don't need him on my Survivor. And I just thought it was a big sellout for me, and I was kind of bummed by that. And then the last thing I'll say is the David and Goliath thing. Just not thrilled by that because they're setting it up to be you have to root for David, don't you? I mean, that's the whole point of David and Goliath is you root for the underdogs, and in Survivor you kind of root for the underdog to kind of overcome stuff. So I'm not really sure if that's a great theme, but that's just my initial thoughts on things. But thank you guys for the great podcast, and it was great listening to it. I'm kind of sad still about the interviews that you guys didn't get to do this time out. I think you guys did a great job with that, so you were very classy about it. And the way you handled it and breaking the news to everybody and not saying anything negative, I think I respected that a lot. But dadgummit, I really miss those, and I think that you deserve to do those. Maybe in the future they'll let you do it again, but I miss those. But thanks for all the other stuff that you guys do, and maybe next time I'll play a little of the Survivor League that you guys do. I've always heard about it, but never participate, but maybe next time I will. Thanks so much for everything, and it was a fun season, although a little underwhelming towards the end. It's still enjoyable. I enjoyed it. So here's next time. Slappy out.
All right. Thanks, Slappy. Yeah, you definitely need to take part in JSFL next season. And yeah, you make a good point about that theme. It does sort of set you up to root for the Davids, putting them in the underdog position. That's a big part of our culture, isn't it? And I liked your point about how Angela missed a big opportunity to get in Wendell's head by keeping that purple seat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think we ended up talking about that during the recap, but it's a great point. But it again, it's just a testament to her capacity to play the game.
It didn't matter that it didn't bother her. The fact that it did bother him.
She should have jumped on that advantage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because that kind of thing does get in people's head.
Well, you could tell it was, yeah. Thanks again, Slappy. Next up, we got an email from Ed in Milwaukee. Joanne and Stacy, I do not share Pete's yoo-hoo, doozy-woozy enthusiasm for this season. What the blankety-blank was Angela thinking when she spilled the beans of Seabass's plan to use his extra vote on Dom? She said after the game that she thought that Seabass would win if he was not voted out, but how could she think that she could beat Wendell or Dom? Angela's move climaxed a season of bad play. This was a season that lacked big moves. The reason for this is that whenever someone tried to make a big move, someone else, Laurel, Angela, would blow it up. Not only did this season lack big moves, it also lacked little moves. Too many people were playing for third place. I like that. That's Spot-on summary right there. After Seabass's plan fizzled, the outcome of the game was obvious. Dom or Wendell was going to win, and the remaining players would compete for table scraps. I credit Donathan for at least trying to stir things up at the end, but it was too little too late. If he had broken away from Laurel earlier, perhaps things might have been different. I knew that when Probst announced that Laurel would cast the tie-breaking vote that Wendell would win, but afterward I realized that all of the people who were still in the game at the beginning of the episode, Seabass, Donathan, and Angela, voted for Wendell. In other words, Wendell likely would have won if one of these three cast the tie-breaking vote, but the outcome would have been more dramatic. Interesting. I was also very disappointed in the reunion show. Survivor's a game about personalities, and the reunion show is, or used to be, an opportunity to learn more about the players and why they made the moves they made. But when the reunion show is effectively reduced to 30 minutes and time is wasted by adding an infomercial for another CBS show and by talking to a child in the audience, we hear practically nothing from the players. Fortunately, I was not watching the show live, so I was able to hit fast on the DVR to skip the Kevin Hart segment. Has anyone figured out why Stephanie Johnson was not at the reunion? She is one of the players that did not deserve an early exit, and I would like to see her come back in the future. Yeah, we haven't seen anything. I've been looking to see if anyone had posted some insights on the Survivor subreddit, but nothing's jumped out there. And if she had any kind of a falling out with the Survivor crew, there's a good chance we will never see her again.
Mike K posted on Facebook that she posted on her Instagram that she did nothing wrong. It was personal. So we gathered from that she was not invited to the finale, which means she also didn't get the 10 grand as well.
The appearance fee, yeah.
And if they're unhappy with you, I don't think she'll ever be voted back.
Yeah, she didn't get an opportunity to make that
voted
big of
back.
an impression.
Asked back.
Yeah. In spite of this, I still remain a super fan, with the exception of the one episode I missed in season 1 when my VCR malfunctioned. I've never missed an episode of Survivor, and I plan to continue my streak. That's a super fan right there. Survivor is the best TV show of all time, and Joanna Stacey's show logarithmically enhances the viewing experience. Thanks, Joanna Stacey, for all who contribute to this podcast. And thank you, Ed. Logarithmically. Excellent. Next up, we got a call from BrandonA.
Hey, what's up, Joanna Stacey and Survivor fans? This is Brandon from Cleveland, calling to give my thoughts on the Ghost Island finale, and what a great finale it was. I thought it was one of the best finales yet. Still doesn't make it a top-tier season, but I think it was still overall a great season. We got a fantastic winner, fantastic runner-up. Obviously, it was great with the whole tie at the end. I'm just, really happy of the outcome. It did suck that more moves weren't being made or whatnot, but either way, I still thought it was a satisfying ending, I guess you could say. Not going to go into too many details, but I just want to say that I think I can now officially say Survivor is probably my second favorite show of all time. I got into reality TV, as far as the CBS reality shows anyway, back in 2000, probably like 2002 or 2003, something like that, with The Amazing Race. And I couldn't get enough of it. I had always been a big fan of geography and travel and things of that nature. So The Amazing Race just captivated me. And because of my love for that show, I kind of got introduced to Big Brother. And Big Brother was probably my favorite reality TV show of all time for a very long time. And then I got into Survivor because of Big Brother. I was just so desperate for Big Brother to come back one summer. Somebody just said, just go ahead and watch Survivor. It was the season of Heroes versus Villains, and that show got me hooked. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out which one I liked more. And I think now officially, I definitely would say that I like Survivor more. And what tells me that is because this past season, there's a season of Big Brother Canada, and it was really good. I was really enjoying it. But I got busy and just life, and I missed 3 or 4 episodes. And then I just never was motivated to go back and finish watching. And the fact that I was enjoying the season and I stopped watching and I still haven't gone back to finish watching the episodes. And as far as Survivor, I realized with Survivor that would never happen. I would be on it like that So I think it's official. I love this show. It's my second favorite of all time. It's never going to get to the top spot because my top spot goes to Friends, the sitcom. Nothing's ever taken that. That's like orders of magnitude ahead of everything else. But maybe I think part of the reason I love the show so much is just enjoying this podcast, another Survivor podcast that I listen to. But it just enhances the show so much. And I just think it's just a great show. Even a less than stellar season is a great season of television. So I just want to leave everybody with that. And I hope to hear from everybody next fall. Talk to you soon. Peace.
All right. Thanks, Brandon. Next up, we got a call from Jill in the Outback.
G'day, Joe and Stacey. Hi, Survivor fans. Another season done. I was so glad that Wendell won. Not only was he my USB, I think he played one of the better games. If he didn't win, then I wish Dominic would have. They were far and above the better players for the whole season. It probably did make it predictable, but it would have been a bit of a letdown if somebody who had just ridden on their coattails had won it in the last couple of days. So I had my best ever JSFL finish. I was about 30th, I think. I've never actually picked the winner before, so that was a bit of a thrill in that as well. The actual Ghost Island theme was a bit of a dud this year, but I reckon the characters that they had on the show, they made up for it. And they were a pretty likeable bunch. There was nobody that you really, really hated. Maybe Brad went a bit close, but for the most part, I liked everyone on in their own little quirky ways. Even Chris Nolan, like he was just so over the top. He was likeable as well. I haven't given myself much time to do this feedback, but I really just wanted to say thank you, Joanne and Stacey. The podcast really gives it an extra level of interest to the show. I hope everyone has a good off-season and look forward to the new season. We only need one of the Davids to win that one, and it could be a revenge of the nerds. Thanks again, Joanne and Stacey. Happy days, everyone. Bye.
All right. I like that. Thanks, Jill. So glad you could be here, part of the last episode of the season. Next up, we got an email from Scott in Connecticut.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. I'm a long-time listener and first-time contributor.
All right.
Well, welcome. I couldn't let another season go by without thanking you, along with all your regular feedbackers who make my Survivor experience so much more enjoyable. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the finale, I was happy that Wendell won, but I think Dom probably should have. I think this cast was pretty weak as far as players go. Finally, I am not a fan of all these idols and advantages. It's like playing poker with 5 wild cards. Thank you so much for everything you do. All right, and thank you, Scott.
Yeah, welcome aboard. Good job on your first feedback. Next up, we got audio from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanna Stacey. Hello, Survivor fans. This is Jeremiah Panhorst, coming to you this time from my old hometown of St. Louis, Missouri. Had to fly home this week because my wife's grandfather passed away, and the funeral and everything was actually on Wednesday and Thursday, so I didn't get to really watch the finale until Thursday night, but I did see it. And I did not really get to watch the reunion show much, although what I saw of it pretty much looked like it was just a commercial for other stuff. And I think we all agree that the reunion show is kind of a joke now for the most part. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so obviously it was an exciting tribal council. I mean, without them going to a tie like that, I think maybe this season would even be less forgettable, perhaps. But I definitely think that this season will be remembered because of the tie. And it was definitely a scenario that I had in my head as a potential possibility. I really felt like Wendell and Dom for somehow were going to be in the finals together. And of course, I wanted Wendell to win. So I thought, well, if there was a tie and Laurel had to decide, she probably would pick Wendell. So it was one of the scenarios I did have in my head, and it was exciting to see happen because once Wendell, of course, won that fire challenge, I knew the tribal council was going to be interesting, and it certainly was. It definitely paid off. Lots of people, I'm sure, are going to be discussing whether or not should Dom have gone against Wendell in the fire challenge. Sure, that makes sense now, but again, what if he would have lost the fire challenge and then he would have been out? I mean, there's so many different scenarios that could have happened. Obviously, the guys should have probably tried to cut to each other's throats a long time ago. But then if they would have done that, would they have made it to the end? I don't know. It's so hard to say. It's such a difficult game. I mean, there's so many elements to this game, and it's easy for us to sideline, to criticize people. But if you make it to the end and you have a shot at it, that says a lot. Yeah, that's pretty much my feelings on the whole subject. But I haven't even listened to anybody's podcast yet, so I have not heard the podcast. I have no idea what you guys' opinions were on this season, so I will be doing that on the airplane ride home today. But I just wanted to, call in, let you guys know I did enjoy the season overall. It was obviously edited very funny, but I think it's okay. It's not top of the line season, but it was good, and I definitely enjoyed our winner. I think either Don or Wendell obviously deserved it, and I'm just glad Wendell got it. It was exciting. Now, for JSFL, obviously, I did well. I went for it, but I did not win JSFL overall, obviously. I was hoping for that, but I still can't. Getting that final complete order right is just almost impossible. But I did get the final 3 right. But I apparently have won the side challenge, and I have to pick a song. So I've decided to go with Grover Washington Jr.'s Just the Two of Us. I think because it was the Dom and Wendell show, I felt like that this might be an appropriate
Very
song.
nice.
So there's my song selection. Can't wait to hear everybody else has to say, and that's it for me. And this is Jeremiah coming to you this time from Missouri.
Well, we're certainly sorry to hear about you and your family's loss there, but we're thrilled that you were able to be part of the last show here. Thank you so much, Jeremiah.
And congratulations on winning the side challenge.
Yeah, good job. Next, you have bragging rights until next season ends, so there you go.
Okay.
Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi everyone, this is Jen in California. So, tie vote with Wendell winning, Dominic coming in second place, and Laurel casting the unfortunate final vote. We were really excited that a tie vote occurred, definitely. That was a surprise. I liked the fact that Jeff Probst just sat there and read the votes right away. Watching Laurel have to go cast the final vote was gut-wrenching. I don't know if I could do that. That's life-changing, but it is a game. That's all it is a game. So, $900,000 difference, though, in the name she writes down and the name she doesn't. I think I would rather have the tiebreaker be Survivor should just have all of the 3 finalists. Before they go to the final tribal council, they should give them parchment and say, if it's not you, who do you want to win the $1 million? Then in the end, if it's a tie, then what they can do is just go get the vote of the individual who was not involved in the tie, and then that vote will actually count. I think it's just too much to have to go right up there knowing that the name you write down at that moment is the $1 million winner. Writing down that name maybe before you have to go under such stress at final tribal, I don't know, I think it just would make it easier. But back to the result, Dominic and Wendell played great games. I think I would have rather had Dominic be the winner, but I'm good with it. I mean, I guess I'm with you. I don't think that tie vote really made the season rocket up into one of the top positions for me in terms of best all-time seasons. It was just kind of there. I really enjoyed watching Donathan play this season, though. I think he was a bright spot for me. I really enjoyed his grit there at the end. No, he didn't have allies, and he did blow up several tribal councils, but what are you going to do when you're starved and you're stressed and you have this realization that you're just kind of in the middle, sinking to the bottom? I had no trouble with watching him try to stir the pot, because really, that was all he had. But who gameplay I was really upset with? I was upset with Angela's gameplay. I guess we'll never know, and just like Laurel explained she had her reasons for playing in the background and never making the big move. But why did Angela go and squeal to Dominic? He didn't benefit her in the end. He sat her down there to make fire instead of taking her to the end. I didn't understand that. Talk about big moves. Using the extra vote that Sebastian had to get Dominic out of the game would have been right up there with all-time great Survivor moves. Really. At least that's what I think. Or maybe I just wanted to see a big move in a season of just, moves. Not big, not little, just, everybody just kind of made their move and nothing was really monumental. I really wanted to see a Dominic blindside. And anybody blindside like that. I really didn't care. Insert name here. I really don't care or didn't care that Dominic was the target. I cared that somebody was the target, and then that was going to be a major play. Don't even know how comprehensible this is. I know that this feedback is a little bit disjointed, but it's kind of like how the season was for me. Not one of my top seasons by far, but still the best show on TV. Cannot wait for Survivor David versus Goliath and for the return of this podcast in the fall. Have a great summer, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Jen. It was completely coherent. You did a fantastic job as always.
I would vote for myself.
Can't do that.
How would they know?
They know
Probably
who cast which vote.
Anyway.
They see you write it down. Silly.
Yeah, I know. But I would probably still try.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jen. You goofball. Next up, and this is awesome, and you wonder about people who have been on Survivor and are they still fans and all that kind of thing. And we've been a big fan of Snowy for a long time now, and he sends us stuff every once in a while. So I was thrilled when I saw this come in the inbox.
Absolutely.
So,
and he does it so well.
Yes, Michael Snow, and he was on the second Fans versus Favorites Caramoan. So here we go. Hey, it's just Snowy from New York. Hey, Joanne and Stacy, I enjoyed your finale recap. As always, your insights were on point. As this season comes to an end, I feel the same as you both in many ways, and to list my complaints would be redundant. But what I've been thinking about during the past few episodes is that I'm just glad to be watching. Survivor's always been an escape for me, as I'm sure it is for my fellow Survivor fans, podcast listeners. We all enjoy putting ourselves in the players' sandy shoes and imagining making the same decisions. It is still fun. In these times in our country, I'm surrounded by negativity on television, and I'm so glad for my weekly escape. So I'm going to focus on the parts of this season that I enjoyed. The Dom and Wendell dominance was masterful. They had no equals out there. Both had social and physical game to spare and played hard. They were super fun to watch. I think it was a decent cast, pretty and handsome, good players, pathetic players, smart, clueless, sweethearts and egos. We had it all. Even though the season had gimmicks galore, I think there was a certain old school nature to the season, including a good old pagonging. We saw alliances become important again. I've always enjoyed this part of Survivor. Building an alliance with trust is one of the hardest parts of the game. Fun challenges, that spool challenge in the penultimate episode alone is worth a mention. Lots of water challenges too. The tie vote, a Survivor first, and I'm glad Wendell was given the win. All along I had a sense that he had a leg up with his social game. He made the 39 days look so easy. He killed it. Less reunion show and more episode? Keep it up. Did the season have issues? Yeah, but no reason to beat a dead horse. The Survivor fan base is stronger than ever, and the show isn't going anywhere anytime soon. I can't wait to see what the next season brings. Stay healthy and happy. Have a great summer. Your pal, Snowy.
All right.
Yeah, I love that. That was very cool.
Hear, hear. Well said.
Thank you so much for sending that in. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here, and I'm just going to come right out and say it. Ghost Island never redeemed itself, and it only took time away from people playing this season. Things would have been much better had we had more time to learn about our current players. People like Chelsea, or Desiree, or better yet, Angela, who made it to the top 4, but the only thing we know about her is that she can eat sea slugs. Well, that and the fact that she can't keep a secret. In all fairness, though, Ghost Island was a nice try, but it failed. Let's not tweak it. Let's just, well, let it die. And Dominic getting to choose the voting urn. Come on, really? If I were there, I would have taken a hammer to all 3 of them. What a complete waste of time. And as for the reunion show being cut short, well, let's face it, most of the time all we do is complain about who they didn't talk to, or that they wasted valuable time highlighting a new movie, or in this case, a show. And as for the challenges, well, I loved the huge maze, but not the challenge itself. You know what I mean? I miss the good old days. Days where the final challenge was a sprawling multi-section event with people racing back and forth and tripping over one another while adrenaline was pouring out freely all over the playing field. We never have that anymore. The final challenges anymore remind me of old video games in the sense that in the old days things occurred on one static screen with minimal movement. Nowadays, video games have worlds that fill screen after screen after screen. Nostalgia can be fun, but I think the final challenges in Survivor of today have turned very much into what? Watching a game of Space Invaders. It's the same simple premise over and over, and although it can be nerve-wracking, the spectacle and the wonder is, well, missing. Maybe they need the Space Invaders sound effect or the theme from Jaws playing faster and faster in the background to heighten the effect. So the big topic, of course, is Dominic and Wendell. And let me tell you, this is probably the first time that I've ever been 100% torn about the outcome. I mean, I'm sick that Dominic lost. It's just not fair. But had he won, I'd be saying the exact same thing about Wendell. And the thing that amazes me most is that I really disliked Dominic at the start, or even midway into the game. Of course, by the end, he completely grew on me to the point where I now feel incredibly sorry for him. Couldn't we just split the win this season? And Laurel, oh Laurel, I felt bad for you too. I thought that Donathan would have at least given you his vote, but in the end, I underestimated him. Apparently, he understood that Laurel's inability to follow through screwed up his game, and he voted accordingly. Good for him, bad for Laurel. And of course, who didn't see her final vote for Wendell coming? I mean, man, that was just wow. A tie vote in the end? Awesome. So, as a whole, I give Ghost Island a middle-of-the-road, enjoyable but not wonderful rating. I can't say it was anything special because, yes, it had bad choices scattered all throughout its season. And those bad choices were Ghost Island itself. Throw it into the fire, Jeff, because it didn't pan out at all. Finally, I want to thank everyone who participates in the listener feedback and opens my eyes to all of the things that I miss. Thanks to Steve for that wonderful JSFL website and makes playing JSFL so fun. And of course, Joanne and Stacy. As always, thank you again and again. Take care, enjoy yourselves. Bye now.
Excellent. Thanks, Paul. Great to have you sum it all up there at the end. Well, we've come to that point. What else would you like to say about this season?
I'm happy.
Happy?
It's Survivor.
Yeah. Well, it's such a great experience to get to do this together, even though we have quibbles with how things get put together, right, in the show as it goes along through the season.
I can't help it if you don't see things properly.
I'm not talking about quibbles between you and me.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about us not liking choices that they make for the show. I think that the fact that we see things differently is awesome, and that's part of the enjoyment that I get.
Oh, good. Phew.
Yeah. And likewise with our bigger community here. What a fantastic group, and the listener feedback show, and this big cast of characters that we get to hear from, and that make it all special with their different perspectives coming at it from different walks of life and seeing things in different ways. You're always opening my eyes to new possibilities, and I think I've talked about it before. Doing the podcast and getting to hear people's takes, especially when we do these season summaries like this, helped me see better the significance of the social game and how big that was. And of course, what better example than this one, and how significant a relationship with one player could be. Yeah, the 5 that voted for you and gave you the tie are important too, and it came down to one person. Yep. And how you had managed the relationship with one person. Not that doesn't happen with normal voting. When someone wins 5-4, that's the same kind of thing. But it was all in Laurel's hands.
A lot of this jury was really excited about having the power in their hands. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious about how they feel now that, they handed the power over to Laurel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think they were that pleased with that.
Like, wait, what?
I think they expressed exactly their sentiment about Laurel with their votes, right? So having it flip over into her hands in the end is not something that I think any of them.
Yeah, I even had to stop and wonder that because they didn't win the game, did they get together, the 10 of them, and say, hey, let's make our season great, and let's make it a 5-5, the first ever tie, just so that our season, and you're like, no,
there's no way Chris Noble would do that. There's absolutely no, and there's several other people.
I liked the idea.
Yeah, the idea, sure, yeah.
They might have coordinated it or something.
That they had planned to tie, like a tribe throwing a challenge or something.
Well, yeah, just to make their season stand out more. The first ever.
You're talking about these folks that were bummed and so competitive that either their guy won or their guy didn't win, with who they cast their vote for. It just
Well, I think it helped make the
interesting
season.
premise, so unlikely.
It was just it made it more interesting for me.
We will certainly remember this season now for the tie. I would have said we'd remember the season as an example of a great failed concept in Ghost Island, and I loved how Snowy summed up all the positives. So that was great to have that there. And we want to thank everybody who took the time to send in their thoughts for the listener feedback shows, not only here in the finale, and this is special, super special, and a way to wrap it all up, but all through the season. What a wonderful cast of characters. Great job, everyone, all through the season, through all these episodes that we put together. And we want to mention a big special thanks to Emily for your subscription donation. Thanks so much for signing up to do that and to give regularly to the podcast and to help us with our operational costs. We really appreciate it. As always, we want to say a big thanks to Paul, as several people did along the way, for that roster. We're still using it even here in the finale. Have it up on the screen to refer to people and help us remember something that we're going to say. And thanks to Aaron for the Ghost Island mix he put together we use for our intro and outro. I had a great time making up new lyrics to what that lady was singing at the beginning of the song every week. Thank you so much, Jeremiah, for watching over the flock there at the Survivor Fans Podcast Fans page on Facebook. Do a great job with that. And always to Steve for creating and maintaining the JSFL website. We'd not be able to have this JSFL fun at this scale without him. And when it's a final six like this, Steve's got to do a lot of work manually. He's got a lot of things automated, and normally it's pretty much automated the way he's got it set up. But when they throw us curves like the final six and it wasn't designed for that, then he has to do a lot of work by hand. Thank you so much for making that all work.
Because if it wasn't for Steve, JSFL would have gone by the wayside.
It was overwhelming once we crossed over 100 players in the spreadsheet.
It was becoming a bit much to do by hand.
Absolutely.
With the spreadsheet. So.
Okay, just a quick reminder, Randy, from the side challenge, Jeremiah's chosen a song for you, Just the Two of Us by Grover Washington Jr. You can prepare your song now and send it in to us, or take the summer to prepare it, but we need to receive it no later than the JABBIC Part 2 for next season. Looking forward to that.
Congratulations again to the winners who tied in JSFL this season. Thanks, Ian and Nance. Okay, we hope everybody has a fun summer break. We'll be back here in September for the JABBIC show for season 37, Survivor David versus Goliath.
Have a good one.